Hey guys, it's Luke Yon, and today I am going to be filming my Christmas book haul, talking about all the books that I got for Christmas this year. I'm really grateful for the books that I got. I think I have 10 or 11 books to show you all, which I'm really excited to talk about. I don't really do book hauls ever, except for like my birthday, which is in June, and for Christmas, because that's really the only time that I get like a ton of books at a time. Like honestly, this year, apart from my birthday and Christmas and like a couple of new releases here and there, I probably bought like only about 30 books, which I know sounds like a lot, but when you read like between 100 and 150 books every single year, it's not that much. I've definitely been trying to pare down my TBR a lot, and at school I also read exclusively like on my Kindle or like on my phone from my library, so that's also how I get a lot of books read and stuff. So I have tried not to buy a ton of books this year, and I think I did pretty well. And a lot of these books that I'm going to show you right now are books that I've like wanted for a while and have held off on buying for Christmas. So let's just get into the haul. So these books are in no particular order, but I am going to talk about the one that I'm most excited about first, and that is this exclusive Waterstones edition of Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is a special edition, and it says book 1 at the top. So I'm wondering if they're going to do special editions for every single book in the series. I'm very weak, so I probably would end up buying all of them just because the Shatter Me series is one of my favorite series of all time. I love Tahereh Mafi. I'll do anything to support her and her books, and I also have the Illumicrate special editions of the This Woven Kingdom series. So these look really great with those, and I'm so excited to put this on my bookshelf. So it is kind of like a navy canvas hardback with gold detailing and everything. There's like flowers and birds, obviously the tagline, "My touch is power," and then the side has like this bird on the side, and then the back says, "I have a curse," crossed out, "I have a gift," and "I am their weapon," crossed out, "I will fight back," with similar designs. And then the edges are navy sprayed, and they have birds on them as well. Then the end papers are yellow with some like origami type birds on them. And it's just really gorgeous. I'm super happy to have added this to my collection, to my Tahereh Mafi collection, and I'm definitely going to run out of space on that bookshelf for her, so I might have to switch, because I have a shelf dedicated to Lee Bardugo on one of my smaller shelves. I might have to move Tahereh Mafi there and put Lee Bardugo where Tahereh Mafi is, because I have way more Tahereh Mafi books now, and I mean, this is just so beautiful. I couldn't pass it up. There's also like gold ribbon bookmark. I had to, I'm sorry, I had to. Next, I have A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Elements of Cadence duology, so it is the sequel to A River Enchanted, which I read in August of this year and really enjoyed. It's kind of like an adult like fantasy book set in like a magical version of Scotland. There's a lot of Celtic folklore woven into the story as well, and it's just a really cozy, fun fantasy read. The fantasy aspects aren't like too jarring or difficult to understand. Rebecca Ross's writing is also beautiful, and the characters are amazing, and the world is just so fun and fascinating, and I don't know how I haven't read this book yet, because the cliffhanger at the end of A River Enchanted was crazy, so definitely excited to jump into A River Endless. And these covers are also just so beautiful, and there's like a beautiful map in the books as well. Like, come on, how could I pass up the opportunity to ask for this book for Christmas? It's so beautiful. I can't wait to dive in. This series is basically, I mentioned it in one of my videos recently, but the first book follows a man named Jack who used to live on this Isle of Cadence, but he was sent to the mainland to go to university and become a bard, and then one day he finds out that there are these mysterious deaths in the Isle of Cadence, so he returns, and there's like an enemies to lovers romance with this girl named Tahereh, and there's a lot of POV characters, but it's really easy to digest. Definitely a good starter for like getting into adult fantasy and epic fantasy. And the magic system is really cool. It revolves around like the elements, and just the characters are great. The writing is so stunning. Definitely excited to jump into the sequel. Then I have The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. I have read 3 Kristin Hannah books now. I've read The Nightingale, which is one of my favorite books of all time, Winter Garden, which I also loved, and I recently read Comfort and Joy for my most recent reading vlog, and this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. It's her most recent release, and it finally came out in paperback, and I believe it's focuses on the Dust Bowl that happened in the first half of the 20th century, and we follow a character named Elsa. It says it begins in Texas in 1921 after the Great War, and then picks up again in 1934. So I'm super excited. I love Kristin Hannah's writing and just the way that she builds characters, and she's just a phenomenal historical fiction writer, and I've never read a book set during the Dust Bowl. So super excited to jump into this one and see how I feel. Next, I got The Winter of the Witch by Katherine Arden. This is the 3rd and final book in the Winter Night trilogy. So the first book was The Bear and the Nightingale, the second book was The Girl in the Tower, and then this is the 3rd book. I really enjoyed the first book. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite kind of like wintry fantasy type reads. There's also a lot of Slavic folklore and mythology in the book. I read The Girl in the Tower this year in January, and I really enjoyed it as well. I didn't love it as much as the first book. It definitely suffered from a little bit of middle book syndrome, but I'm super excited to jump into this finale because I've heard from so many people that it's the best book in the series, and I really do love the world and the atmosphere of this series, and I am definitely intrigued to know what happens with characters and how everything eventually wraps up. Then I have The Witch and the Tsar by Olesya Salnikova Gilmore, and this is a book that I just randomly saw in Barnes & Noble one time, and I decided to add it to my Christmas list because the cover, honestly, like, I am not gonna lie, the cover, it was definitely a cover buy for me, and it's just, I mean, this is beautiful, and the back was really interesting. It has to do with Baba Yaga, who, if you're unfamiliar, is a figure in Slavic mythology. So, you know, I love Slavic mythology. I'm Slavic, so it's always fun to read a fantasy story with that incorporated into it. And I believe it also has to deal with Ivan the Terrible, who was one of the Tsars of Russia. Obviously not a great guy because of his moniker. And yeah, I'm really excited. It's like part historical fiction, part fantasy. I definitely think it'll be up my alley, and I'm excited to jump into it. Hopefully this winter, early next year. Then I have a book that I already read, actually, so I'm going to be talking about it in my December wrap-up, and that is The Ruined by Renée Ahdieh. This is the 4th and final book in the Beautiful Quartet. I didn't love this book a lot. Like, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I'm going to talk about it in my December wrap-up, but it's probably, like, my least favorite book in the series. I just didn't love the ending, but again, I'm going to go into that more in what will probably be one of my, not my next video, but maybe the video after that. I haven't exactly decided, but I definitely do have to get around to filming that, but obviously I needed to get this book to complete my collection. I did also enjoy it. It's just, of the 4 books in the series, probably my least favorite, but I definitely wanted to get this because I own the other 3 books, and I own, like, Renée Ahdieh's other books as well, so I wanted to own a copy of it since I read it. And yeah, I mean, this series has, like, some of the most beautiful covers. Like, I love the cover in here, and there's a really beautiful map of New Orleans inside, and yeah, I just wanted to complete my collection of the series, and I'm very happy that I did. Then I have The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. This is a part of Philippa Gregory's Plantagenet and Tudor novels. So this book follows Catherine of Aragon, and I'm not exactly sure when it takes place. Okay, well, I just read the back, and apparently it takes place when she arrives in England. I think that's when it starts, and then it probably just goes into the rest of her life. I don't really need to know a ton about this book because I really enjoyed all the Philippa Gregory books that I've read, and I really love historical fiction books set in this time period, so I knew I would enjoy this, and I really enjoy the story of Catherine of Aragon's life, so I'm excited to see what she does with it in this book. Next, I have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not 100% sure what this book is about, but I know my mom has watched the TV adaptation and really enjoyed it. I think it's like a historical fantasy set in Oxford about like witches and vampires and like books and stuff. That's all I got. I have been eyeing this book for a while though, and I do really like historical fantasy, and I've heard a lot of really good things about this book, and I do also want to watch the TV show, but of course I have to read the book before I watch the show, so this seemed like a good purchase, even though it is kind of on a whim. Then I had The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third and final book in the Inheritance Game series. I've read the first two books in the series, so obviously this is the next one that I have to read. And there's actually another book that just came out that is set in this world with these characters, and there's actually another one set to come out next year as well. So, you know, I thought I would catch up on the series, and also, I mean, the new one that just came out and the one that's coming out next year are not like continuations of this story, so this is still its finale, it's just those are set in the world, but I thought I would still get around to reading the end of this series because I did really enjoy the first two books. I loved the first book. The second book was like not my favorite, but I did still like it, and I do want to see how the story finishes off. And this series follows a girl named Avery who finds out that she is the heir to this multi-billion-dollar fortune, and she has no idea why because she has never met the man that has died and left all this wealth in her name. And so before she can actually collect the fortune, she has to kind of like be in a series of games and all this stuff. And the second book definitely had a big cliffhanger at the end, so I'm excited to see where this one picks up and also how it finishes off this part of the story. Then I have Beasts of Ruin by Ayana Gray. This is the second book in the Beasts of Prey series. I love Beasts of Prey. I read it in January, but I still think about it from time to time. It's definitely going to be on my favorite books of the year list, so watch out for that video as well. But I've been meaning to pick up the sequel for a while, and I think I'm going to read it next month, probably. And I'm super excited too, because I did love the first book, and it ended on a very explosive cliffhanger, so I'm interested to see how Ayana Gray continues the story, and I heard that this book is even better than the first book, so I'm definitely intrigued to see where the story goes. But that is it for this haul. I really hope you guys enjoyed. All of my social media links are in the description box below. I would love to know what books you got for the holidays, or if you have any thoughts on the books that I just mentioned. But I will see you soon for a new video. Bye!